We tried to build a brand that only framed giving in the positive. Giving because it was a joy, it was a blessing, not out of obligation or debt, but because
it's a gift.
We could.
This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I'm so excited. I have Scott Harrison, the founder and CEO of Charity Water.
What's up, Dave?
I love charitable entrepreneurs.
Okay. But social entrepreneurs, they call us now.
Right.
Well, that's the new term.
Awesome.
That wasn't around when I started.
But I was reading about you, and our journeys are so similar that the first thing that came to my head was, how the heck are we not best friends from our former days?
Right.
And now I know we'll be best friends because we live our lives the exact same, which will make this interview really easy for me. Let's start backwards and go, you didn't live your life of service when you were younger.
Yeah, I grew up taking care of a very sick mom. There was this freak carbon monoxide accident in the house we moved into when I was 4 that wound up just stealing my mom's health forever. And grew up an only child, caregiver role, doing the cooking and the cleaning, caring for her. And then at 18, moved to New York City, which was only an hour and a half away, and I just went freaking nuts. Smoking, drinking, drugs, worked at 40 different nightclubs.
Like people would actually pay you to drink in public. You're such a partier.
It's amazing.
Right?
You know this profession, you know. You get the right people inside the right clubs, and you can, wring $50,000, $100,000 of booze. And do pretty well at that. So it was really me living out a rebellion against spirituality, against morality. I mean, this was like the live for myself, carnal hedonism.
Yeah, but like for me, I had a mom with 6 kids, so I was driven by the same thing to buy my mom a house and a car to take care of her in essence, right? Yeah. But when I started making money or found the avenue to make money, I felt like I deserved to be rewarded. Like that was part of my energy was, hey man, you know what? I've done the right thing. I've worked really hard for everyone else, and this is my time. And that became the self-sabotaging.
Oh yeah, it wasn't good for me either.
Unrewarding.
Glad to hear it wasn't
lifestyle.
Good for you either. Yeah, I spent 10 years just pursuing the most decadent hedonist lifestyle, so 18 to 28, and then had this cathartic moment at 28. I was in South America. I was in Punta del Este. My girlfriend was on the cover of a fashion magazine. I had the BMW. I had the Rolex watch. I had the grand piano in my New York apartment. I had the Labrador Retriever, tick, 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 tick. And I just realized I was the worst person I knew. I was morally bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt, emotionally bankrupt, and I was leaving perhaps the most meaningless legacy that a person could leave. My tombstone was going to read, "Here lies Scott Harrison, a club promoter who's gotten 1 million people wasted."
Right.
And I realized that a radical change was needed, not a small change, not a pivot, not like a small course correction. Yeah. I needed to just figure out how to go walk.
A new paradigm. You didn't
walk 180 degrees.
What caused the paradigm shift?
I read about this a lot in the book. It was a period really of 6 months. It began with this moment in South America where I just realized there would never be enough. Somebody was always going to be richer. Somebody would always have a more successful model girlfriend, a better car, a plane. It was this endless pursuit of more.
Exhausting.
That would just leave me completely empty. And I wound up coming back to a very lost Christian faith, I think in a different way as an adult. Became really interested in service and social justice, and came across this verse in the Bible where it says, "True religion is to look after widows and orphans in their distress, and 2, to keep yourself from being polluted." I was 0 for 2. I literally polluted people for a living. I mean, the more people would come in, get wasted, cheat on their spouse with, the hot thing at the club, the more money we would make, the more success. So I wound up thinking that the exact opposite of my life would be 1 year of humanitarian service. And the idea was to take the 10 years that I'd selfishly wasted, give one of them back, almost a tithe, and then see where that would take me. And I began to apply to all the famous humanitarian organizations that I'd heard of, only to be denied by all of them because, of course,
Your reputation.
I'm a club promoter.
Right. Your reputation preceded yourself.
Exactly. the same skill that could get 1,000 people to turn up outside a velvet rope didn't seem very portable into credible, serious humanitarian work. So fortunately for me, one organization said that if I was willing to pay them $500 a month and go live in post-war Liberia, West Africa, a country I'd never even heard of at the time, then I could serve. And I dusted off a journalism degree that I'd gotten at NYU but had never used, and was lucky enough to go into Africa and take a mailing list of about 15,000 people with me. So the same people that I'd been getting drunk for 10 years, I said, hey, I'm going to tell you a new story. I'm going to be embedded with these amazing humanitarian doctors, and I'll tell you what happens in this country. And you know, everything in my life changed. I had never seen extreme poverty before. I'm dropped into a country with no electricity, no running water, no sewage of any kind, no mail system. And there was one doctor for every 50,000 people. So I remember there were 2 surgeons in a country of a few million and no place to operate. So I joined a medical mission, amazing humanitarian doctors and surgeons who would volunteer their vacation time, and they operated on a 500-foot hospital ship. And I was just going to document all of the surgeries, all the people that would come up on the ship and get help, and then walk down the gangway, you know, with their sight back, or with their tumor removed, or their burn contracture released. So it was a really impactful first year. It wound up extending into 2 years.
Did they make you pay the second year?
I actually think I got out of it the second year. I'm like,
curious.
Okay, I did it for the year. That's a great question. Good. I think I was like, guys, I'm broke, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll serve another year, but I think maybe I paid half.
Okay.
I think they gave me a break.
That's cool.
This was actually, I kind of joke about it, but this was how the organization helped raise donations. They turned the crew into fundraisers. So everybody paid, all 350 people on the ship. All of us raised support so that money could pay for fuel and medical services and such. So on the second tour there, I start learning that the dirty water people are drinking in the rural areas is what's making them sick. People are drinking from swamps and ponds and rivers. And I learned that half of the world's hospital beds were occupied by people who were drinking bad water. 50% of the global disease was caused by bad water. So don't
you think it's ironic and symbolic that you basically spent the first 10 years of your life feeding people bad water?
Yeah.
Right? To harm them. And then you were saving people by not only leaving your profession, but moreover, by figuring out this water problem so that they don't have to. People, not by choice, right? They're poisoning themselves by choice. You and I poisoned ourselves by choice, but now the irony and symbolism is incredible.
I've never quite thought of it that way.
In your head are like, oh dude, there's dirty water, these people are being harmed. And your whole paradigm is shifting. That's awesome.
Yeah. You know, and I used to sell, we were talking about some of the clubs that we used to run in. You know, I used to sell Voss water for $10 a bottle to people who wouldn't even open the water.
Right.
They wouldn't even break the seal.
Yeah,
Red
Bulls sitting there that never got drank, right? Oh, not that I visited too many of those bottle service, right?
So I couldn't believe at the time there were 1 billion people worldwide drinking bad water. So it's 1 out of every 6 people on the planet.
Which is truly the biggest cause for disease.
Yeah, 26 diseases I could just rattle off right now, all linked to bad water. So I came back from Africa at 30 years old. I had my issue now. I was going to work to bring clean and safe drinking water to every human being on the planet that didn't have it. So the mission was clean water for everyone. The mission would be accomplished when 0 people on the planet at any given moment were drinking bad water. Simply because of the conditions that they were born into. I think, you know, as an entrepreneur, I had the advantage of being 30 years old, having no philanthropic experience, never working at a big charity, not really knowing how you're supposed to run and operate an institutional, you know, philanthropic organization. I was just talking to everyday people who worked at Chase Bank or MTV or, you know, Gucci. In retail.
Which you still had leverage on because those were the guys who were sitting at bottle service.
Yeah. And
all those executives sitting there going,
oh, Scott, I'd like to help you. How few of them gave.
Were you surprised? This was not
the same demographic.
You were really surprised.
I thought,
because don't you think
I was
scarcity,
more hopeful.
One of the things that I learned through my transformation was that exact rule. I said, I have everything, but I'm living in a world of not enough. right? And I want to live in this other world of more than enough. And I started seeing all the people and ideas that I surrounded myself were based off of scarcity, right? With a scarce energy, you're going to want to, because your life doesn't have enough, you're going to want to create these false feelings by going out and doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. And for me, it wasn't surprising when I made that shift that not only did I lose friends and business associates, but I had to fire some as well because I couldn't be around that energy anymore because I didn't want it to be a part of me. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I was hoping
naive. You're 30.
I was hoping that the people that would drop 10 G's on Cristal would also want to drop 10 G's on a well.
You would think so.
You'd think so, but it turned out not to be true for most people. Anyway, I had my issue. I was talking to everyday people, and then I just realized there was this huge lack of trust when it came to charities, when it came to philanthropic institutions.
Especially when you're asking for it.
Well, I actually had some credibility over the 2 years with my friends because I had lived it.
And you documented it.
I was documenting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sending photos and stories, and I mean, people knew, and I quit drinking, I quit smoking, I never touched coke or any of that stuff again. I never gambled again. I mean, I walked away from the life of vice in the most extreme, total way. So my friends thought I was a buzzkill.
Yeah.
I turn up at a nightclub.
No fun, Scott.
In the DJ booth, I open up a laptop and I'm showing them pictures of dirty water. Not smoking, not drinking, not doing lines, asking them for money. Yeah, they're like, dude, you're killing my buzz. Like, get out of the DJ booth.
People are dying. I don't want to see this.
So, so I quickly had to shift the demographic of which of our early supporters. But, the big realization was people don't trust charities. They feel betrayed. They feel charities, often just ask people for money and they just keep asking for money. There was no relationship. There was no, let me tell you what I did with your money.
Correct.
We were just talking about your birthday campaign. You have this opportunity to go back to all those people around the world that supported your 50th birthday and say, here are the community centers. Here is where your money went. This is the impact.
I love the faces, right? That's the one I send. I'm like, look at all these happy people. Look how much it means to them. And that doesn't take any words. I still get choked up thinking about that picture that, wow, instead of taking BS birthday parties and getting gifts that I don't ever want or need, like, look at these faces. Their grandkids are going to remember this day.
Mm-hmm. It's totally true. So, for us, the first idea was let's give away 100% of the public's money. So let's just deal with the money problem and open up 2 separate bank accounts, audit them separately. I would raise the overhead money separately from a very small group of entrepreneurs, of business leaders. I knew that there would be people like you who'd say, hey, I'll write a check to help you hire that first employee. Right. Okay, I love what you're doing. And then I could go out to the next 100 people and say, hey, 100% of the $1, $10, $100 is going to go to water projects.
And did you think of that on your own? Because we do that, I'm the Chief Chancellor of Junior Achievement University, the number 7 NGO in the world, Unstoppable 100. We do the exact same thing. I had no idea about that till I became chairman. Did you figure that on your own?
As I was researching models and charities, the only person I had come across with this model at scale was a group called the Robin Hood Foundation. It was started by a billionaire hedge fund manager, and he was worth billions and said, I'll cover the overhead personally, so that 100% went. So I wound up writing the hedge fund manager an email. He never got back to me, but just wondered whether I could bootstrap that. It was so clear, right?
Yeah.
100%. We said we'll take it a step farther than his charity, and we'll pay back credit card fees. So to this day, if you go online and make a $100 donation on your Amex, I get $97. But we make up that 3%. We make up the $3.
With the overhead fund.
Yep, and we send the whole $100 to the field. So that was number 1. Number 2, we said, let's just prove to people what we did with their money. In our case, we were going to be building water systems all around the world, from rainwater harvesting systems to wells to biosand filters. So we promised to geolocate and send the satellite images back to everybody that gave. So I could show you a picture of your well built, the clean water flowing, and a satellite image of where it was. You would know that at this specific location, your money had gone to do this and help these people. So proof became this core pillar to Charity Water. And then the third thing was really building an epic brand. I wanted charity to be more hopeful, more inspirational, more invitational, less about shame and guilt. Even the language that you hear today around giving back, it implies like we've taken so much, we've pillaged and plundered to such extent. It's throw a few scraps back to the poor. Right? Let's give a little back. And if I take your watch from you, you're gonna say, give it back. Right? So we tried to build a brand that only framed giving in the positive. Giving because it was a joy, it was a blessing, not out of obligation or debt, but because we could, because we would find joy by using our time and our talent and our service to improve other people's lives, to end needless suffering. So brand became this really, and I just loved good design. I wanted to find designers from Apple or Tesla, or create the best designers, design thinking, and then so we had 100% proof, a beautiful brand that I would hope would rival a Nike or an Apple, not another big charity.
Yeah.
And then we would just work with local partners. I believed for the work to be culturally appropriate, for it to be sustainable. In each of these countries, it had to be led by the locals. By the people of Ethiopia, the people of Malawi, the people of Bolivia, the people of Cambodia. So we would find and grow these local NGOs, these local organizations. We would buy them drilling rigs. We would buy them support trucks. We would help them find and train more hydrologists.
It's sustainable that way.
Yeah, so it would be sustainable, and so that it wasn't these foreigners or these Westerners came in and built our wells.
Yeah, some days.
So we kind of put all that together. It's funny, I launched 12 years ago in a nightclub. That was the only idea I had at the beginning, was to throw my 31st birthday party. I gave everybody open bar. 700 people came, and on the way in, they put $20 in this big plexi box. And I remember we collected $15,000 of cash. We immediately took every single penny, every dollar, to a refugee camp in northern Uganda. We did our first few projects, and then we sent the photos, the GPS coordinates, the satellite images back to those 700 people and said, you came to a party, you gave $20, here's what happened. People are drinking clean water because of you. And I just remember in that mini proof of concept, people were so blown away that we had reported back on $20.
Yeah.
I joke that some people didn't even remember attending the party. They'd come and like, wow, oh my gosh, something really happened. And we said, let's just put this feedback loop on repeat in everything Charity Water does. And that was almost $400 million ago from that first $15,000 party. Now, over 2 million people around the world have given to the organization from, well over 120 countries, and we're about to now cross 10 million people served. So going from those first, few water projects, we've now got about 40,000 across 27 countries.
That's amazing.
But I would say that core, the belief of transparency, showing people, doing the right things with people's money, and then showing them the impact has been, core to the success.
Wow, it really bags my favorite line, which is the truth vibrates the fastest. And when you're living from the truth and showing the truth, it resonates. If any part about it was manipulative or scarce, carried that energy, it wouldn't have worked as well.
I love the abundance mentality. I talk about that a lot. I'm introducing my biggest donors to other charities.
Of course.
People think I'm crazy. Like, why would you give a donor that's given you, millions of dollars? Why are you sending them to other charities? I'm like, the more that you give, the more you give.
Yeah.
I don't look at this as zero sum.
I agree.
They're only going to give to me and not another charity. I think if they give to 10 things, they're more likely to give.
I agree. And I raise so much money on one belief, that I'm giving you a gift by allowing and teaching you to allow things to come through you. But if you truly want acceleration, growth,
that's right.
You hold on to it, there's only so much of you. And I do and because it's so innate in my being and it comes across sincere, that people are motivated and inspired by it. Now, you are a social entrepreneur. You scaled a business from $15,000, which you bootstrapped, and then it's almost a $400 million business for social good. But along the way, I don't like to skip over this because this is about entrepreneurs. There's a lot of pivoting that goes on. Oh, yeah. And I know, you have the pool, you have, what's the newest one?
Products. We have the spring, the pool, the well.
Yeah, which you've mirrored different great business models and seeing where there's shortages, voids, and obstacles within the space. You've solved those over the years to get to the point where you're at. Let me know about, I think pivoting is so important for entrepreneurs to understand. What was the biggest pivot beyond your life? Right now you're in the business. Where did you have to pivot the most, and how did you go about that?
Well, one of the things that had served us really well early on was this idea of asking people to donate their birthdays to clean water. So
it'd be perfect.
you donated your 50th birthday and you raised a couple $1 million, right? Yeah. So the idea was, look, we have enough crap. you don't need anything for your 50th. You've been blessed. You have everything you need. You don't need a bunch of ties or wallets or gift cards or whatever people would send you. You don't need a cigar case.
Yeah, well, the way I described it was, money doesn't buy me or you happiness, but it's going to allow us to shop. How about this year for my birthday? We go shopping for something really significant, like a community center in Africa.
There you go.
Let's go shopping for that, because I don't need a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right. I don't need a fake watch from
China. That was an idea we had 13 years ago, and I thought the sticky marketing message would be, I'd get people to ask for their age in dollars. So a 7-year-old would say, "Hey, please donate $7 for my 7th birthday," and an 89-year-old would say, "Turning 89, I want to make that possible for more people. Will you donate $89?" So I tried this out on my 32nd birthday. So the 1-year anniversary of Charity Water was my virtual birthday campaign. No party, just $32 for my 32nd birthday. And I raised 59 grand. And just then the 7-year-old kid in Texas.
And you still send pictures in geo.
Same thing. I actually drilled live via satellite on my birthday for all of the donors.
Nice.
In Kenya. So they got to see water shooting up in real time.
Oh, yeah.
Their money at work. I then put every single name of everybody that had given $32 on the huge pump house, just so that they could kind of feel a connection to the cement, to the pipes, to what they had purchased. So anyway, this idea scaled. We wound up raising about $65-70 million as people all around the world would donate their birthdays, or they would climb mountains or skydive for charity. What we wound up seeing all of these just creative campaigns. We had a guy listen to Nickelback for a week consecutively, headphones on, raised $36,000. People felt, sorry for him.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're in Canada.
So
we're in Nickelback territory. But
no, that's awesome.
So
like I had people
bring,
for my 50th. Sorry to interrupt, but like it blew me away. I told you, like people, it got a lot bigger than I thought it would. And then other guys, like one guy said, "I'm gonna, not throw you a party, but I'm gonna run 50 miles, not over a period of time. He's gonna run a 50-mile race."
Oh my gosh.
And then get people to sponsor $50 a person for his 50 miles. And
so cool.
He raised thousands of dollars. And like these people are going crazy with these different things.
So cool.
And you get the feeling. So that's amazing.
So cool. So 8 years of growth. We went from 0 to about $40 million a year. And then our 9th year, we dipped. And what happened was we had 2 donors that had made up $8 million of donation revenue. One was a company, one was an individual. Both of their fortunes tanked. The company laid off 10,000 employees. The donor's stock was down 40%. He'd always given appreciated stock.
Yeah.
And we go from, about 45 million to 36. And we go from helping 1 million people get clean water in our 8th year alone to 820,000 people in our 9th year. And I had a huge crisis of leadership. I tried to quit, tried to hire a CEO. I have failed. Growth was all that we knew. And it's not growth to buy me a car, or a house. It's growth for the sake of literally saving lives. Right. I've been to 69 countries.
There's a lot more emotion to it.
It's so much more loaded. I mean, I've been to Ethiopia 31 different times. So I've lived in villages where people have hung themselves because they didn't want to walk for water anymore. I mean, to me, that wasn't just a statistic. Like I had let my inability to repeat the previous year's success and grow yet again had failed almost 200,000 people who were counting on me. Right. So my exec team finally gives me some advice. They said, "Why don't you just take a month off, dude? You need a vacation. You're burned out. Take some time to think about it." And I went to the mountains in California with my wife, and I had a 1-year-old at the time. I found out on that trip we were pregnant with our second. And I just started thinking about the organization, what was wrong, and it just came to the realization that what had gotten us here would not get us to that next level. And what had happened was the birthday idea had really become commoditized. Everybody was doing it.
Right.
Every charity was now adopting.
Just like me, right?
Right. But that was great. Like we had put something. Facebook started doing it.
Yeah.
I remember telling the co-founder of Facebook about this idea 13 years ago. Writing it down on a napkin. Don't write on my wall, donate my age in dollars. Took Facebook 7 or 8 years, but now they're raising over $1 billion. Yeah. So the idea had become commoditized. I knew it when heifer.org sent me an email asking me to donate my birthday to heifer. I'm like, you sell goat and sheep in catalogs. Like, stay in your lane, right? So anyway, what we did, I was very fortunate. One of our overhead donors was a guy named Daniel Eck, who had started a business called Spotify. And I'd come to Ethiopia, where he'd come to Ethiopia with us, and just started to realize that, wow, maybe subscription was the reinvention. Maybe we should, instead of getting people to do their birthday once, well, that was the other problem. Right? If you did your 50th for me, you're going to build that community set. You're not going to do it on your 51st.
Right.
You're going to do your 52nd. Now you may, but 98% of the people, it was one and done. It was one birthday, one well, and then done. So, I realized Spotify is just building on a base, right? They just bring someone in at $10 a month and then try and keep them forever and deliver value and create a relationship with that customer. So at year 10, pivoted to subscription, didn't grow at all that year, so we stayed flat, 37 million. I think we grew, 5%, and then we doubled the business in the next 2 years, 40% growth, 40% growth. This year we'll raise over $80 million. A lot of that led by subscription. That program is called The Spring, so we like giving everything a name.
Yeah.
I love the double entendre. It's a beautiful time of year of hope and new possibilities, and it's literally where we get so much water around the world. So we now have about 40,000 plus people from 110 countries giving an average of $30 a month. And every $30 someone gives, we can take one human being from dirty water to clean water. So, we said, look, watching this, there's a lot of people that can do 2 Netflixes a month to help one human being
live.
Not get content, right? Not get music or storage for their photos. Go from disgusting dirty water to clean water, to the most basic needs. So that's called The Spring. It's a great way people can help. It's an amazing, generous community. We have kids giving of their allowance. We have people giving of their pension. People write me and say, I just canceled HBO, and now I'm giving that money to The Spring. That's people are making sacrifice to be a part of it.
Or they're getting a blessing to be a part of it.
And they
as
are,
well, right?
and they
So
are.
last question. I hadn't had a chance to talk about Thirst, which is your book. Just so people know, right? I think there's some valuable life lessons that go far beyond giving in Thirst, right? I'm an energy person. I live in a very simple life of, of gratitude, of forgiveness, of accountability, and inspiration. And that's, to me, what that book was about. What message would you like? I know you give it to everyone for free, and it's to raise money for your charity.
Sure,
it's
I don't make any money.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. It became a New York Times bestseller, and Bill Gates and Mike Bloomberg and Richard Branson, all these amazing people wound up endorsing the book. And sometimes I think when you give it away, the initial idea was that the book advance was going to be my kid's college fund. And I came home one night and told my wife, I'm like, we got to give it away. It's got to just help more people get clean water. And then, of course, amazing things happen. I wanted Thirst to both help raise awareness about this important issue that is going to be affecting our planet for years to come, the literal thirst of now about 660 million people. But really, the double entendre again, my thirst for purpose. I mean, I was looking for meaning in all the right places. And I think, over the years that I've gotten to travel, to 69 or 70 countries, and I get to speak a lot and meet some amazing people. And so many people feel stuck. They feel like their past, the mistakes of their past, define their future. Yeah. And I would hope that this book would encourage people, because unless you've murdered someone, you weren't as bad as I was. I mean, you had not sunk to the depths of depravity and degeneracy. And if a disgusting cocaine-addled nightclub promoter can, change and bring clean water to 10 million people and have, I have an amazing wife and 2 beautiful kids. And I'm about to get on stage, and talk about generosity and compassion and clean water for all. No one is beyond hope, and I think I had to change. I had to walk away from a lot of those vices and walk away from that selfishness. But I discovered, a life of purpose. And, I hope that, one day, I was telling you earlier, my 4-year-old's whole school just came in. So I gave a speech last week to 74-year-olds, and my son said, Daddy, how old do I have to be before I can work with you at Charity Water? Yeah. And, I melted, cool. And I would hope that someday, my kids say, wow, my dad, helped get 100 million human beings access to clean water, because he didn't take for himself. I mean, I drive a Kia. We live in a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom.
I drive a Volt, my brother.
I'm like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't own a house. Like,
I get it. That's so awesome.
We have a very simple life. I pay 5 or 6 bills, and
yeah, but you help millions of people, and you're an inspiration. People, yeah. Thank you for illuminating everything. I think that's a huge humble capacity that you have to change other people when we elevate and illuminate the mistakes that we've made, because everyone makes mistakes, and make them feel better about, hey, I can make that change in my own life.
Yeah.
And you are an inspiration, one of my newest and best friends, because we share a lot in common. I can't wait to really get
and
to know
the birthday
each other.
thing, I love it.
It's like, of course, man, likes attract likes, but I love the fact you went from poisoning people with dirty water to saving them from dirty water, and that's going to be your life legacy, which will be a lot more than promoter that poison people. You are killing it, my friend.
Thanks, man.
And it's just an honor to have you on Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. Scott Harrison, founder and CEO of Charity Water with Dave Meltzer.
Thanks, man.
It's been the Playbook. I let him go a long time for a reason, so I hope you enjoy it and listen to it. We never go this long, but this was really important. Thanks a lot.